Today we'll be building this responsive website. At the very top we have our header, which has a title and a menu icon. When you click on it, it opens up and has a responsive menu that can be accessed on desktop or mobile. In the center we have a video and we have an overlay that will allow us to be able to put text on top of it and make it readable. Underneath that you can add and customize with whatever content that you desire, knowing that at the very bottom the footer will stay at the bottom of your document. Well, with that being said, this is going to be a great project to have as a template for starter projects in the future, so let's get started. Get started by creating a folder wherever you want your content to live. Name that folder whatever you like. We're going to go ahead and open up the folder in VS Code. We're going to create 3 files: index.html, style CSS, main.js. For our index.html, you should be able to type HTML and you should get a setup that's going to lead to a boilerplate opening. You can change the title, whatever you want it to be. We're going to link the CSS sheet underneath the title by typing link, and then you should get a pop-up that says CSS. We're going to link the script tag, which is going to be right above the body and closing body tag. You can save that. Then we're going to go to the bottom of VS Code and run live server. If you don't have that, I'll link to it so you can install it. And then it should open up in your default browser. Let's set up our CSS and assets. Go to your style CSS and we're going to target the HTML and we're going to set our box sizing to border box. Next, we're going to target our HTML and our body. We're going to set the margin to 0 and the padding to 0. You can go ahead and save that. Next, we're going to create a folder within our folder, and it's going to be called Assets. Now we're ready to bring in our font. You can go ahead and navigate to Google Fonts. You can browse and decide whatever font fits your style. Montserrat is my favorite. You can go ahead and pick 3 or so of these that are different. Once you have those selected, we're going to make sure on the side we select import. Then copy everything inside of the style tags, excluding the style tags. Copy, head back over to your CSS sheet, and at the top of the file, you can paste the import statement. The next thing you want to do is go where it says the rules and families. You can copy this, go back to your CSS, and paste it inside of the HTML. Save that. If you want, you can test it out by going to the body, p tag, and it should be your font. Next, we're going to add our assets. We're going to need a video. You can go ahead and navigate to Pexels, or you can navigate to Pixabay and find something that suits your interests. Once you've selected your video, you can go ahead and download it. Bring your download into the asset file. You can rename it to whatever you like. Next, we're going to go to material symbols. We're going to need 2 icons from here. We're going to need the menu icon and the closing icon. So first, let's get the menu. we're going to go ahead and actually download the SVG. And for the close icon, we're going to click on it. You can customize it and download the SVG. Bring those into your assets folder. And rename them. You should be all set up with all of your assets that you need. All right, let's add some structure to our site. On our body, we need to add 3 sections: the header, the main, and the footer. Let's do that. I'm going to zoom in so that you can better see. Awesome. If it helps, you can go ahead and add some comments so that you can better visualize what you're working with. I'm going to do that now. Make sure that you are watching your indentation, format as you need to make sure that everything's lined up properly, all the tags are close. Make sure that you have proper spelling, and look out for variable consistency as we go throughout the project. That'll really help you stay on track and avoid having to have major debugging sessions. Of course, if you get stuck or you have any questions, you can go ahead and leave them down below and I'll try my best to help out. All right. So the first section we're going to work on is the footer section. The only thing that lives in there is a paragraph tag. You can go ahead and give yourself credit for creating this website in that tag. Not a very complex footer. Nice and easy. Let's do it. If you want to add the copy symbol, you press and, then type copy, C-O-P-Y, and do a semicolon. Go ahead and save that and see what happens. Awesome, we have our footer set up. Let's work on our header. Inside of our header is going to be a nav. Let's create that nav. Inside of the nav are going to be 2 divs. One div is going to be the full navigation bar that will always be visible. The other is going to be our sidebar, which will be able to toggle, open, and close. So let's go ahead and create the first, which is going to be the full nav bar. So you can create a div and give it the ID of full nav bar. I actually just did full nav. Inside of this nav, there are going to be 2 elements. There's going to be a button, and there's going to be a P tag. Let's go ahead and create those. We're going to have inside of our P tag the title of the website or the company name. We'll add that. Inside of our button, let's give it the ID of menu button. Now inside of the button is going to live our menu icon. So we're going to create an image tag and link it to our SVG. Make sure that you have the proper pathway. We're going to give this an ID of menu icon. You can save that and see what happens. If you don't see the SVG loading, make sure that you have the proper pathway to wherever your menu icon is living inside of your main file structure. Let's add some CSS now. All right, let's start styling. So first we're going to target the body tag. We want to move this font family into the body tag. We're going to go ahead and have all the content display on top of each other. So let's give it a display of flex and flex column. Flex direction, column. We always want the content to be visible on our screen fully. So let's give it a min height of 100 view height. Go ahead and save that. So now what we're going to do is target the main, and we're going to give it a display flex. Well, we're going to give it a flex of 1. Awesome, and see what that does to the page. Really cool. Let's go ahead and get fancy and target the header and the footer. For our header and our footer, we want them to have a background color. You can pick whatever you want. I'm going to choose black, and choose a font color. I'm going to choose white smoke. Awesome, that looks really great. Let's go ahead and style up the footer. It'll be pretty simple. We are going to give the p tag inside of it a display flex, and justify content center, align item center. Let's do that. Very nice. Now we're going to go ahead and inside of the header, we're going to want the header to always stay fixed. So let's go ahead and give it a position of fixed. Top 0, left 0. Go ahead and save that, see what happens. As you can see, it shortens, so we're going to go ahead and make sure that the header is always the width of the screen. "100 view width." Very nice. Now we're going to go inside and target the actual navigation. So let's go ahead and target that ID. I'm going to rearrange my content to make it fit a little bit better in order of operation of the actual layout. We're going to go ahead and give this some padding and a display of flex. Padding 20 pixels. We didn't see a difference when we saved because I have the incorrect variable. There we go, much better. Next, let's get started on styling that button in that SVG. I give you a challenge to try to change the color so that the background of the button is black or transparent and the lines of the icon are white. Let's go ahead and style these buttons. I'm going to create a section just for buttons since we have quite a few of them. First, we're going to target our menu button. I want to give it a background color of transparent. All right. As you can see, there is a border. So I'm going to go ahead and target all of the buttons and say border none. So now we need our SVG icon to display. So how do we do that? Let's go ahead and actually open up the SVG image. And a lot of interesting stuff going on. Behind width, I'm going to go and type fill, and I'm going to say that's equal to white. Save that, and there we go. Now we see it that it's appeared. Let's go ahead and actually change the width. So the width right now, it's okay, but we can have it a little bit smaller. Let's see if you can give it a try to change the width. All right, I'm going to go to the menu. I'm going to go to where it says height and width. So for width, I'm going to type in 30. That's a little bit too small. So for height, I'm going to type auto. And the width is too small, so I'm going to bump it up a little bit to 35. I really like that size, but you can go ahead and change it to be whatever you want it to be. Let's go ahead and close this. For our button, we want it to have a pointer. So let's go ahead and target the hover state. We're going to say pointer cursor. little cursor pointer. And let's go ahead and change the background color too when we hover. So we're going to say background color, and let's do 333. It's a gray color. Let's see what happens. Awesome. Before we move on to the sidebar, I want to make this navigation a little bit slimmer. So I'm going to go ahead and target the header. See where it says padding, the nav full nav, and I'm just going to put a 0 to say that the top and bottom padding is 0 and the side padding is 20 pixels. Let's save that, and all right, I like that a lot more. Let's go ahead and add in our side navigation. So let's make the structure in our index.html. I'm going to close this for now. We have our nav and we have our full nav div. So underneath the closing tag, to make sure they're on the same level, we're going to have another div, and it's going to have the ID of sidebar. Awesome. What's going to live inside of here is going to be a button as well as an unordered list. So let's add the button first. We'll give it an ID. ID will be close button. We can go ahead and we're going to have the closed SVG icon, so we can copy this image and paste it. Let's make sure that for this image we change wherever it says menu to say close. So I'm going to click where I want to change, hold Alt and click, and I'm going to delete the word menu and add the word close. Awesome. Underneath the button, we're going to have our unordered list. Inside of our unordered list, we're going to have LIs. So we're going to have an LI, and inside of our LI, it's going to be a clickable anchor tag. So I'm going to add an A tag. It's a lot, but you're doing great. Let's go ahead and add a hash symbol. And inside of here, inside of the A tag, we can type whatever you want the text to display as. So I'm just going to type name for now. And I'm actually going to copy this and repeat it for however many items are going to be inside of your unordered list. And then you can go ahead and change those out to be whatever you want it to be. Let's go ahead and save that and see what we're working with. All right, it's a lot to look at. Don't be overwhelmed. It's okay. We're going to go through this together. We're going to make sure that it makes sense, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So just keep the hope, keep the faith, and let's move on to styling our sidebar. Let's style our sidebar. Instead of our style CSS, we're going to have a section dedicated just to this. So I'm going to go ahead and section that off. All right, so how do we want our sidebar to live? We want it to live when it's visible. It's going to be fixed on the side. It's going to be a specific width, a specific color. So let's go ahead and add that. So we'll target the sidebar, has the ID of sidebar. Let's start by changing the background color. I really like that gray color. Perfect. Next, let's give it a fixed position and then put it at the top 0 and right 0, left top 0 and left 0. Let's save that. All right, so as you can see, it looks a little slim, so let's give it a width of 200 pixels and a height of 100 view height. Check that out, check that out. I want it to be a little bit lengthier, so I'm just gonna bump that up to 230. Let's see what that does. Okay, I really like that. So we have lots of fun things happening. Let's go ahead and let's target the unordered list. So this unordered list, we'll target the sidebar first, and then the UL of the sidebar. So let's say that the list style type is going to be none. So that way, removes the dots. Awesome. For our padding, we're going to add 10. All right, let's target the LIs. For the LI, let's give them some padding of 10 pixels. That looks really jazzy. Now we're going to target all of the anchor tags. So for the sidebar anchor tags, we're going to say that the text decoration is none. We want to remove the underline. We want to say that the color is white. White smoke is a nice color. Then we want to give it a margin of 50 pixels. Let's go ahead and add a hover state. So I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to target the hover state of the anchor tag. And I'm going to say cursor style. Cursor is pointer. And then we'll say that the text decoration is underline. So let's go ahead and test that out. Pretty jazzy so far. Pretty jazzy. Let's go ahead and work on that button. So I want to challenge you to change the color of the button and to change the SVG fill color and the size, just like we did with the previous button. Pause and give that a try. All right, so underneath the button section, we're going to go and copy a lot of this. So since both of the buttons are going to be transparent, we can actually just tag this on and we can say close button. All right, so now that's transparent. We want to change the fill color of our SVG. So let's go to our SVG close icon and let's go ahead and add fill. Set it equal to white. Very nice. And let's change the width and the height to match the other button. So the height was set to auto and the width was set to 35. Let's just double check for comparison. Yep, they're both the same. If you're able to do that, really good. If you have some trouble, that's no problem. Just keep practicing. We'll keep doing our best. So now we need to go ahead and actually position this button because right now it's not in the appropriate spot. So let's go ahead and target the close button. And for the close button, we're going to give it a position of absolute. We're going to put it at the top, 10 pixels. And the right is going to be 20 pixels. Let's save that. All right. Let's see what it looks like if it were in a different location. Let's try 15. All right, not too bad. We're going to go ahead and target the hover state of this close button. So I copied the menu button hover state. And let's go ahead and give it a border. 1.5 pixels, solid black. Let's see what that looks like. Nice. Before we finish up with our buttons, I'm just going to adjust this navigation bar. So I'm going to target the sidebar UL inside of the padding. Right now it's 10 pixels on top, bottom, left, right, but I'm going to make it so that it's 40 pixels on the top, 10 pixels on the left and right. And you can go ahead and adjust this as you like, as you see fit, as you think is quality. All right, so now we need to concern ourselves with the matter of hiding this, having it toggle so that it displays or doesn't display. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and add display none to a couple of different features. The first one is going to be the sidebar. So we're going to add a display of none. Very nice, very exciting. Like it. All right, let's go ahead into our JavaScript. So we need to first target the two buttons. So we have our menu, we're going to have a constant variable of the menu button. And it's going to be equal to document.querySelector. And it's going to have the ID of menu button. All right. And let's go ahead and add an event listener. So we'll say menu button, add event listener. The event listener is going to be on the click. And right there, we're going to pass in an arrow function. So parentheses, equal sign, chicken, and brackets. And what we're going to do for now is we're going to console log hi to make sure that worked. So let's go ahead and open up our console. When I click it, it says hi. All right, it's working. So I know for a fact that I'm going to need access to the other button, which is going to be the close button. So I'm going to go ahead and where it says menu, I'm going to press Alt and change that out for close. Awesome. And I know that I'm going to have an event listener for that as well, because it's going to need to have a click as well. So this is going to be close button that has the event listener. So now we're going to need to adjust the styles and visibilities. So let's go ahead and get our sidebar. So we're going to create a variable called sidebar, and we're going to set it equal to document query selector of the ID sidebar. All right, so when we click on the menu button, we want the sidebar to have a display style of block. So let's go ahead and delete this console log, and we'll say sidebar.style .display is equal to block. And we know that when we press the close button, we're going to want the sidebar style to be equal to none. So let's go ahead and pass that in here. I'm going to save and see what happens. And really quickly, I'm just going to pass in E and pass in E.preventDefault, E.preventDefault. I want to do that just for future use. It might not be necessary, but you can do more research and decide for yourself. Let's get started on the video content. Our video content is going to live inside of our main section. So we can go ahead and create a div, and we're going to call it the div ID top section. Inside of this div is going to live our video. Our video is going to have an ID of video background. We're going to pass in the source of the video, so make sure you have the correct path. After the ID, we're going to pass in a couple other parameters. We're going to pass in autoplay, we're going to pass in loop, and we're going to pass in mute it. You can go ahead and save that. Check this out so far. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. Underneath this top section div, we're going to create a div, and we're going to give it the ID of overlay. You can leave it empty. Underneath the overlay div, we're going to create a div, and this is going to have an ID of content. Pretty jazzy so far. Inside of the content is going to be what we want displayed over the video. So I'm going to pass in H1 that says the name of the site and a cute tagline. You can customize yours to fit your project. go ahead and save that. You can go check it out to see how it loaded. It's going to be pretty nifty how this all ends up working out. Now, spoiler alert, you can go ahead and prepare to add additional content to this project. So you don't have to do this step if it is overwhelming, but underneath the main end, I'm going to create a section. I'm going to call this the poem start and the poem end. And it's going to be a div. And you can go ahead and customize and add your own content as you see fit if you want to expand upon this project, or if you want this right here to just be, a template, you can go ahead, stop there, save it, and build on a future project. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to give it an ID of text section. I'll just give it an ID of poem div. And I'm going to go ahead and pass in a p tag. In that p tag, I'm going to pass in a poem. So let me go and copy and paste that in. This is a lot to look at, so I'm going to target right here and just collapse that for now. Let's save this and let's get to styling. All right, let's go ahead and style up. Here we go. Instead of our style section, we're going to have a section dedicated just to the video. So let's go ahead and add that after the sidebar. Actually, yeah, let's add it after the sidebar. Of course, you can add it anywhere you want. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is target the top section. Let's scroll up a bit. Let's give it a position relative, a width of 100%, a height of 100 view height, and let's take the overflow and make it hidden. And for now, let's just make the height, for this example, 500 pixels, just for now. So you can see what's going on. And we'll change it back, but just for demonstration. Next, we're going to target the video background. We want to make the position absolute. We want to position it top 0, left 0. We want to make the width 100%, and we want to make the height 100%. We also want the object fit to cover. Let's save that. All right. So as you can see, it is covering up our navigation. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a z-index of -1. We also had to add a z-index of -1 to the top section. Next, we're going to target the overlay. The overlay is going to be position absolute. It's going to be at the top left, top 0 and left 0. It's going to have a width and height of 100%. We're then going to make the z-index 2. Well, we can make it 1. And we're going to make the background color. So this is going to be the most important. So the background color, let's just add gray for now. Ta-da! Very interesting. Very interesting. We're going to have to pass in RGBA. And we'll pass in 0, 0, 0, and then the opacity of 0.35. And that is what that looks like. Let's go ahead and target the content. So the content is also going to be positioned absolute. It's going to be all of these similar aspects. So we can copy top, left, width, height of overlay and pass that in. We're going to give it a display of flex, justify the content center, and align the items center. We're also going to make sure that the flex direction is column. We're going to give this a z index of 2. All right, interesting things are happening. So I wanted to show you what was happening with all of this because it is pretty interesting. So let's go and change this height back from where it says top section. Let's change it back to 100 view height. And we have this going on. Very cool, very jazzy, very nice. We're going to go ahead and target the content, the text of it. So let's see if we can pass in the color and make it smoke, white smoke. Very nice. Now we have a little bit of a problem because our menu is now hidden behind all of this content. So if our content is at 2 and this is the highest layer right now, then we need to make the Z index higher than that. So let's go up to our nav bar, go back to our header, and we'll say that this is a Z index of 4. And let's go to our sidebar. Let's give this a Z index of 4. And we got all of that back. Very nice. Let's just go ahead and make sure that we like what we see when it comes to this particular paragraph. I'm gonna go grab the variable name again. So this is the video section, but technically this is not a part of it. So I'm going to say poem section. Let's go ahead and grab our poem div. So poem div. We'll make sure that it is a display of flex, flex direction column, and justify content center, line item center. Now we're going to target our poem div, but the P, all the paragraphs. Inside of here, we're going to have a maximum width of 1080 pixels. Well, actually, we'll make it 1920. 1920 pixels. And we'll give it a padding of 20 pixels. Let's save that. And let's see what that looks like. 1920 is way too long, so let's bring it back to 1080. Save that again. Check that out. Looks really good. All right, congratulations, you made it to the end. This is the point where we close our VS Code. Make sure you save everything. And we get to enjoy what we've created and check out what we've made and see what we like and think about how we can change it for the future. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you made it this far, congratulations. It doesn't matter if you were successful or not. What matters is that you learned something or found something valuable that you can add to your developer toolkit. This is one of the first tutorials for coding that I've done for this channel, and I really do plan to do more, and I really have a vision about how I want to teach, and I hope to get better and stronger. So if you have constructive feedback, if there was some aspects that you found helpful or some elements that were not as helpful or just not geared towards your specific learning style, please feel free to share that. I would appreciate that feedback at this point in time. And with that being said, thank you so much. Congratulations. I hope you love your website, and I'll see you next time. Bye.